Greetings, Earthlings! My name is Zero Jake and welcome back to Space Engineers. Between last episode and this one, I've, first of all, built a mining ship. Lovely, lovely mining ship. I think it's a pretty good design. It's using some regular azimuth reactors, because those are the only ones that I could find that fit the profile that I want. We've got some Tier 1 drills, we've got engines galore, we've got Tier 1 thrusters for the regular thrusters, and a large cargo container. And of course, we've also got a few other things. We've got ore detector, obviously, and radar. Ooh. So I've installed a mod called Cheetah's Radar, and what that allows you to do is allows you to see objects depending on their size and how far away they are. So the larger the object, and so it's easier to detect something if they're closer to you or larger. So yeah, I can turn it on now, but it uses up quite a lot of power, so I'm going to do it on the rover because I've also set one up on the rover. So let's go there. Let's go over here, and we're in. So if we go to radar and we have a look at this, we can see radar power, right? I've currently set it to the maximum of 50 megawatts. Which gives us from 110 days of power to 4 hours, right? That's why I'm not using the mining laser. The mining ship. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to see all the floating objects and asteroids and ships, preferably, but there are no ships, in the area. So if we were far enough away from the Horde, we should be able to see the Horde. That's the thinking going on there. In fact, I'm going to test it because that's going to be a fun idea. So let's get a waypoint and then let's jump forward. Right, let's get jump drive. I need to clean up this this console menu so that everything works. Why are you owned by nobody? That is very interesting. All right, let's me. Yes. Everything is mine, and it shall stay that way. Me. Yes. Okay, for some reason something isn't turning into a... it isn't being transferred to me. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Right, let's go get jump... yeah. Okay, so apparently you can't change ownership of a jump drive. Interesting. Anyway, we can currently go about 900 kilometers using the current mass of the ship. We're going to go, like, what, 17 kilometers? So we're going to jump 17 kilometers this way, and then we're going to test to see if we can actually see the Horde, because that's what we want. We're having latency issues. That's normal, I guess. So let's do a test. Noting that we do have the jump drive operative, and I have got all the engines working. I can't actually zoom out anymore. There you go, you can see the engines as we jump. So we've jumped forward. The HUD goes a bit wild, right? It goes very wild when you run the radar, because you can see all the asteroids that you would ever want to find. Yeah, we're seeing floating objects up to 46 kilometers away. That's how powerful it is. But I think floating objects such as rocks, anything that could be in an inventory that's floating, you can see from miles away. So you can see a massive cluster of GPS locations there. Now, what we should be able to do is we should be able to go in here. I'm going to turn that off. We can change it from active to passive, and what that will do is make it so that we can see other people using radios, but they can't see us. This doesn't allow us to see anyone else using passive. It's basically for listening rather than yelling at people, because technically active radar is broadcasting, using radio waves to locate ships, right? If you go passive radar, you're not going to use radio waves, but you can pick up someone else's, even though you can pick up someone else's anyway. Yeah, shush. We can have the show markers, so I can, turn it off. And, much better. We no longer see markers. Yeah, that's a useful thing. This also has code integration, so I could create a script to use something like that. For example, I could go, hey, there's a ship at this GPS coordinate. Why don't I set that as a new jump coordinate, or like have it so that I could track when a ship enters detection range and leaves detection range, and then log that. And if I can log it, then I have I can basically see who enters or leaves an area at a certain time. I could do the same with sensors, but radars would work with ships. So for example, if I say, oh, I detected a enemy vessel at around this time last night, you know, I could also use the 2 GPS coordinates that it gives me from when it enters and leaves, the vector in which they were moving. I mean, they could go randomly, but yeah. Anyway, so we can show markers, we can show asteroids. Now, this, for some reason, is not working for us. So if I turn markers on, it's currently always showing asteroids, he says, with there being no asteroids at all. Thanks. On. Alternatively, you know, latency issues. Wow, good work there, server. It's probably going to say, ooh, connections dropped. Oh, that's going to be fun. If I turn that on, yeah, there we go. So, it's kind of a mess. Currently, we can see asteroids, even though I said not to. I want it to stop seeing asteroids, but mods, huh? Turn that off. Oh, it does work. No, it doesn't. Well, we're seeing asteroids less frequently, but yeah, I don't think the server is built for this kind of stuff. So we can also show only hostiles, and we can show only working grids. Yeah, so if there's for example, a derelict spacecraft, we won't be able to see it because it's not on. Because it's not working, it will be inoperative. This is also the same if there's a debris cloud. You want to find the working ship, noting that the ship in the debris cloud wouldn't be fully operational, but it would have thrusters, power source, etc. So you can use that to locate the main body of the remains. Lastly, we have show hostiles only. That's kind of self-explanatory, but currently no. I hope to see that this gets fixed. Again, the universal truth that if I use your mod for the first time, it breaks, is true again. Anyway, we'll head back and we'll begin the interior design, because that's always fun. Yeah, let's go get you, select, and jump. Now, I'd like to remind you, we only have one gyroscope on here. So it's going to take me a while to actually turn around. Which is why am I... What? Huh? What? Why are we further away? It makes no sense. The gyro is on. Well, did we lose a gyroscope? Hang on. This is very strange. The hell? You're not supposed to be there. Okay then. Yes, this is very weird. Just when my day could get any worse. I think the server kind of bugged out a second. Yeah, that's my synopsis there. Right, I believe that my client and server are not hooked up properly. Right, let's just... We'll come back in a second. Yeah? How about we do that? Yeah. Okay, so I logged back in and yeah, it seems my client desynced and decided that the ship jumped about twice as much as it should have. So, problem resolved. I'll have a look into why that happened later. But anyway, today what we're going to do is we're going to be working on the interior of the Rover Mark II. Fun times. So what we need to do is we need to set up the reactors, which I have a very, very nice idea of where they're going, the gyroscopes, and cargo. Right, let's turn the lights on so that we can actually see better. We've also got to link them up to the conveyor system and everything else. Now, I'm planning on having the reactors, if you follow me, down the yellow conveyor road, in here, right? And the plan is that we have the reactors, once I decide which ones we're using. So I'm going to use a large reactor for now. I'm then going to go to the Horde and turn off the nano factory since I was using it earlier. So the plan is we have a reactor here. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Of course I'm still in creative mode. We're going to have a reactor here, which we need... Is this the correct way? Yes. So we want a reactor here, right? And then we want another reactor here. This will give us 2 reactor areas. We could have more reactors, but really I want this place to not be ridiculous. We then need gyroscopes and all that other stuff. So let's go get our own separate tab to build all of this junk. So we're going to need a reactor. For starters, we're going to be using a larger reactor. We want to replace these with arc reactors at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but once we do, it's going to be brilliant. Anyway, other alternatives are the azimuth fusion reactor, which we all know and love. However, they are ridiculously expensive in terms of reactor components, so maybe not. These just... Yeah, they're just bigger versions of the regular one. Well, no, they're the same size. These give less power for more room. Lovely. Okay, so reactor. We'll think about that later. We then need gyroscopes, obviously. What else do we need? We need some oxygen generators. This is going to be like standard stuff. We're also going to need a refinery and some assemblers. Noting that we want this place to have basic functionality, right? We want the engine room to contain the basic functionality of the ship. What we then want to do is, if we want to expand our capabilities, we either, change how the engine room is doing, or we add a module onto the ship. A module being, where one of these maglocks is, we replace it with a room. So, for example, I want a hangar module, so I build a hangar instead of this one, for example. Or I want a reactor room to boost more power, which I think we won't need unless we have more modules that use that. So we build a reactor room here, or if we want a shield shield generator, we build a massive shield generator room here. You get the point. So this is supposed to be a very modular design, and once I'm done with the interior, we're going to create a blueprint, and then we're going to keep that blueprint because that's how we roll. Okay, so we have a large reactor here, a large reactor there. What these are going to need is they're going to need a pathway down this way where we can place conveyors. Now, you'll notice I already laid conveyors down here, and if I go to the other side, I can show you what I did with the bottom. Since they technically were at the bottom of the area, I added a half slab, basically. Added a half slab on that. About 1.25 meters. That doesn't make sense. That shouldn't make sense. Nope. Yeah, it makes sense. Never mind. So we've got this. This will go continuously here. I'm only going to do one side since we're going to copy the pattern over, which means that we should have 2 refineries, 4 assemblers once I'm done with this place. right? So what we want is we want conveyor junction here, 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 here. Now we may want to paint things up so that it looks nice, but cosmetic stuff can come after I've done things. You look different. You look what the... this large reactor here looks very different from the large reactor there. Possibly because I've got it wrong way round. Maybe it's because... yeah. Okay, of course, yes, because the rotatey thing is still on. I hate the rotatey thing. Okay, so if we have the reactor there, we then need... gyros we can deal with later, right? Gyros, they can be done later. We also need some oxygen generators, but we'll add those in later since they're small. So what we want is we want a refinery, and we've got a lovely place here that we can place a refinery, right? I mean, it's like this long, so you get the picture. We can then place some assemblers, like so. So we place one here, which means that we can have connection via here. Anytime now. This is slow. Right, yeah, we get those conveyor junctions all the way along into here, which means that this area would now be connected to the network. Okay, we've got assemblers and we've got refinery. We can fit them. We can fit those out with modules later. Noting that we're going to copy it over to here. Now this central area. I've said before that I want to have the ability to have a bridge on top of here, so a proper bridge rather than the cockpit area that we currently have. That means we can repurpose the front to be something else. I don't know what that something else would be, but possibly secondary bridge. So I want the ability to have a bridge up there, so at the back here, instead of hydrogen thrusters, because that's silly, we're instead going to have a bridge. Now, since I want this entire place to be pressurized, here comes the fun, I want some oxygen tanks and some hydrogen tanks. You get the picture. No, we want a tank. Now, if we could build a real tank, what I mean is a World War I water tank, then we'd be golden. We also want a hydrogen tank to store hydrogen, though I don't want a massive one, because that's a bit much. Or instead, I want this smaller one, custom hydrogen tank. Yeah, I think that'll do. Yep. So we want a custom hydrogen tank to store hydrogen that we can use to fill bottles. We want oxygen tanks to fill oxygen, to fill up oxygen bottles and to be used for things, really. Filling up oxygen on the ship. Right? Yeah, the front will probably be, well, will probably contain airlocks, and we could contain airlocks at the back here as well. I think that's what I might do back here. Yeah, if we drill through here, we can say, hey everybody, I want an airlock room here. That's a bad place, so we're not going to do that. Okay, right. So we've got refinery, we've got assemblers. We now want oxygen and hydrogen tanks. So if we get oxygen tanks, so we want several oxygen tanks, right? In case the ship gets blown into space or what have you. So we want oxygen tank here, and then I want another oxygen tank here, and a hydrogen tank. Yeah, the ratio is not, yeah, it's this oxygen storage even though it's a hydrogen tank, lovely. And then we want a conveyor junction here, which means that we want to cut this out. Okay, we want to cut that out, and then we want conveyor junctions, and then we want a conveyor junction here, and then we want to switch over to curved conveyors, and then do that, which means that those 4 tanks would be part of the system. pretend that we're doubling everything, and that puts it up to 8. So that's 6 oxygen and 2 hydrogen tanks. Okay, now we have the tanks. I would really wish that the game would stop doing that. We then want our oxygen generator. So if we get oxygen generator, we go like this. Yeah, if we go oxygen generator like this, it means that we can have 4 oxygen generators there without needing to add more pipelines, because we're using the conveyors side to side. Okay, so if we have that, we've got refineries, we've got assemblers, we've got oxygen, we've got that, we've got reactors. Is there anything else I wanted to add? I don't think so. We'll keep most of this space open. We could use it for some kind of recreational area, maybe have a mess hall or what have you. We could have like, we could corner it off so that we get this kind of area. I'd really wish that the game would stop bugging out on me. So we could corner this off, and then this would be port engineering and starboard engineering. That could be something that we could do. Yeah, and then we can have in here to be something else. For example, if we do that, and then we get this up to here, we can then say, oh, this is engineering. And we can have some airlock doors if we want to. That's optional. Yeah, actually. Do we want airlock doors? Because that might be a fun idea. Yeah, I'll replace the tanks for now. Yeah, if we have airlock doors on the ceiling, those can attach there. And since that'll be going up to the ceiling, that might make a good idea. Yeah, that might work. I'd really like it if there was gravity in here. Yeah, we also need to set up gravity as well. So if we do that, we set up airtight hangar doors along here. We then, for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just going to do this. But we could have buttons here to lock down each side, right? This is purely for the reason of we want to make sure that this thing is pressurized. We can also have, instead of this, no, we need that. When do we start going upwards? The next one up. Okay. So instead of these guys here, so instead of these 3, noting that we'll need to get rid of the other ones on the sides because we need to replace them with regular blocks. And if I get light armor block here and here and here, and then I go along 3, and then I get this. Right, we can then place some more airtight hangar blocks, hangar doors. Yeah. Ugh, I really, really wish there was gravity in here. Yeah, so we can enter full lockdown in this kind of passageway, right? So if you go too along, I then want more airlock doors here. 1, 2, 3. Let's get this, go down, and then we want to stay here. We want to go along like this, and then we want to get out doors, flip around. Yeah, so we could have it so that we could lock down each individual section, right? Independently in case there's a hull breach, and we can do that automatically if we want to. So that should be good. Noting, what the? Stop moving me around. Yeah. Now, the problem is we're going to need conveyor air vents, and last time I checked, they don't work. No, last time I checked, they do work. So, yeah, we'll have conveyor air vents. Since this hallway is lined with conveyors, it's a very useful way of doing things. Each of these doors will be sealed properly. I might change it so that when we have a module on there, I change the door, because currently the door is there just so that we can get out. That's a private sale, okay? But we might change it into the, you know, airtight hangar doors, even though they're not airtight hangar doors. They're no, they are airtight hangar doors, which I'm not using for hangars. Excellent. So we can deal with this stuff later. I'm gonna mirror our design onto here, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've mirrored the design onto the other side. Lovely. However, what I've done is I've gotten rid of the reactors and the hangar doors. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so that we can build them up and set them up when I'm ready to do so, right? So the hangar doors will set up individually because I want to make sure that they're in the correct groups, because it's much easier to build a set and then mark it as a group and then off in terminal, build another set, mark it as group, off in terminal, yada yada yada. And reactors, we are undecided on what we want to use. I want to use arc reactors at some point. So yeah. Now, one final thing that we need, and this is kind of important, is we need cargo, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get this, we're going to get cargo container, and we're going to replace reactor here, and we're just going to place cargo in the middle here, right? Pretty easy, which means that we want to get rid of this. Right, that should be the same length, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Good. Good, right, and then we just place, large cargo container here, make sure it's the right way round. If there is a right way round, it's this way, yeah. And then I want to place it the same here. Technically ship it the same way, right, yeah. And with that done, we have cargo here. One's going to be regular, one's going to be components, the other's going to be ingots. If we then fly ourselves over here, and we now need to add gyros, and we have a lovely little area over here to add a couple of gyros. So I'm going to add about 4 each side. They're not, marked up. I want to see how many gyros we actually need to move this ship before I add the rest in. So we're just going to have, no, we don't want gyros on the thrusters. Don't have gyros on the thrusters, have gyros on the safe area, right? Because that means they won't go flying off if the thrusters get destroyed, right? Yes. Sensible things, Jake. Sensible things. So that will give us a total of 16. Yeah. 16 gyroscopes, all spread throughout the ship. Once all of this is welded, I'll give it a test flight, and for some reason I'm going backwards. Possibly because the game thought I was over here for some reason. But that's all good. So with that done, we should be able to get going with getting to Earth. No, not Earth. We're heading back to Mars. So what I'm going to be doing in the interlude between this episode, oh god, that's blinding. In the interlude between this episode and next episode, I'm going to be getting the rest of the ship systems online. Just making sure that everything's dandy, since technically the ship is now operational quotations. We'll add the bridge in later because it's currently not necessary. I'll clean up the front because we've got a bunch of stuff that's not needed. I'll place down reactors. Yeah. The front, it's messy. I've still got tier 1 ion thrusters here that I need to take care of. I also need to move everything from the cargo container over. I then also need to add in some other things, such as a connector that I can connect to other ships with. Yada yada yada. For now though, I'll keep the rear end of the ship depressurized, because that's going to make it fun. The main way that we want to do it is we want to close all doors here, depressurize, open that door if we want to go out, and then if we want to go in, we did this before, right? We set up the airtight hangar doors, so I'm going to do it by myself and then show you how I did it, because that's going to be much quicker than dedicating an entire episode to do it again for the 5th time. Anyway, until then, my name has been Zero Jake. End transmission.